Hi, everyone. So I found this article from the Vera Institute of Justice, and it basically talks about how mass incarceration affects the Latin communities. Of course, they're using Latinx, right? And I figured this would be really relevant because it gets into how this country still, how they view race and how they view Latin people and basically how we identify and how basically this can skew who would be considered black and who would be considered white in these prisons, okay? Because a lot of them, from what it seems like in this article, a lot of these states still just define people by black or white, and some other states define people by Latino or Hispanic. But I'll get into that. I'll read it right now. So, Latinx Heritage Month, which runs from September 15th through October 15th, is a time to celebrate the history, achievements, contributions, and heritage of Latinx people in the United States. September 15th is the day when 5 Latin American countries, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, celebrate their independence. Mexico, Chile, and Belize observe Independence Day on September 16th, 18th, and 21st, respectively. Though this month is a time to celebrate, it's also a time to reflect on the challenges that Black and Latin people face in the United States, including overrepresentation in the criminal justice system. We know that Latinx people are disproportionately incarcerated nationwide, but we still don't know the true impact of mass incarceration on Latinx communities because many states' criminal justice systems lack fully representative data on race and ethnicity. Okay? Data is essential to fight for meaningful reform and end mass incarceration. Although little data is collected on Latinx populations in the criminal justice system, here are a few things we know. Latinx people make up about 19% of the United States incarceration population. About 50% of federal drug cases are against Latinx people, even though they make up only about 17% of the U.S. population. In New York, Latinx people are arrested for marijuana possession at about 4 times the rate of white people. Latinx men born in 2001 have a 1 in 6 chance of being incarcerated in their lifetime, while white men have a 1 in 17 chance. Latinx women born in 2001 have a 1 in 45 chance of incarceration, while white women have a 1 in 111 chance. One major gap in data is definitional. Some state criminal justice agencies do not collect data on ethnicity, but merely assign Latinx people to a black or white race category. Another reason why I think that we should just be able to define ourselves by as being Latinos. This binary choice creates a problem because many Latinx people who enter the justice system are likely to be labeled as white, thus artificially skewing the number of white people in the system and minimizing the disparities that exist. Because the lack of data, the disparities described may be even greater than the estimates we see. This is why it's important for states to properly update their criminal justice data sets to include Latinx people. According to an Urban Institute report, even states with the biggest Latinx populations do not necessarily report accurate data on ethnicity. For example, the population of California, my home state, is more than 39% Latinx, but the state includes Latino/Hispanic as a category only when it comes to its arrest data. California does not have data on Latinx people in its state prisons broadly, by offense type among those in prison, or about people on probation or parole. The urban report found that, like California, Florida and New Mexico also have large Latinx populations but reported ethnicity in fewer categories than the average state did. There's already strong support among Latinx people for states to collect such information. According to a national poll conducted by Latino Justice PRLDEF in 2017, 2/3 of Latinx people surveyed believe that it is important for the U.S. Department of Justice to collect data about Latinx people who enter the system. The same poll found that justice reform is also a big concern for respondents. A 2018 Latino Justice PRLDEF poll found that when asked if the criminal justice system treats everyone fairly regardless of race, 74% of Latinx voters said no. Some reforms respondents indicated that they want to see fewer arrests for low-level nonviolent crimes, restricted use of detention, and reduced racial and economic disparities in the system. To address and meet the needs of Latinx communities, having the best available data is critical. It's time for states, especially ones with large Latinx populations, to collect and publish comprehensive data on race and ethnicity in the criminal justice systems. This is a vital step towards creating fairer systems and implementing meaningful reforms. Okay. The reason why I'm talking about this is because Radical did a video, I think it was about last week or so, where he was referring to basically lighter people or lighter skinned people getting lesser time in prison in comparison to darker skinned people, and I believe it was like a 11 or 12% difference, right? That the time is the sentence time is about 11 to 12% less for lighter skinned people, according to his article. And the reason why I'm using this article is because if race and ethnicity are still skewed within the prison systems and the data is skewed, then how can we accurately know when it comes to white or black, because that's how we're defined, who really are these light-skinned people? Who really are these dark-skinned people? Who are the people that are determining who's light-skinned or dark-skinned? Who are the people that are determining whether these Latin people are black or white? Are these Latin people that are going into these prisons defining that for themselves, or are the people of the prison, whatever, are they the ones that are defining the race of these prisoners that come in? Right? And this might sound a certain way, but hear me out. I'm gonna try to give the best example that I possibly can. I'm sorry I'm using you as an example, Christina. Hi, Christina. So I'm using you as an example. Christina did a live, her first live last week. She did a really good job. I addressed that already. And in the live, I think, I don't remember if it was somebody who asked her in the chat whether they, what they thought she was or whatever. And she basically considered herself a dark-skinned Dominican. She refers to herself as dark-skinned. The people in the chat, however, were telling her no, that she's not dark-skinned, that to them she's light-skinned. When somebody like me looks at Christina, I would consider her to be a darker-skinned Latina. Christina's complexion is not too far off from some of these Latinas that you see on these love and hip-hop shows, right? She's really not too far off. And these people are, they consider themselves Afro-Latina, whether people want to argue for that or against that. Look, it's society putting them on these love and hip hop shows that's determining for the public what they see, right? So it's these people, these executives, whoever, that are determining to the public, this is what we consider black, right? So our definition of what light and dark is different than the definition of what white people consider what light and dark is. So how much more confusion does that add? Then you add ethnicity into the equation, then that makes things even more confusing. Now, I would think it would be a whole lot less confusing, and the numbers would probably be a whole lot larger if we knew who incarcerated was Latino, as opposed to just being thrown into a white or black box. But because people are thrown into a white or black box, we don't even have an accurate representation of how many Latin people are incarcerated, right? Because how we're being defined is by a white, probably in most cases in a white American standard, by those eyes. Their worldview, not ours. Okay? And I have, a certain perception because I'm, very fair. I have a certain perception of what's light and dark. I might think to me, Christina's on the dark end of the spectrum. Mike Rio is light skin. That's to me. Right? Truth Teacher says he's brown skin. To me, he says he's light skin. To me, Truth Teacher is brown skin. See what I mean? Now, the reason why I say this is because who is making these studies and the fact that Latin people are not represented properly in the context of race and in these prison populations and these studies, how do we really know the accuracy of these percentages of who's benefiting from skin tone when it comes to people who are incarcerated? Okay. Now we can argue about people who get jobs and whatnot. That's different. I'm speaking specifically on people who are incarcerated. I say that because my husband, I don't like to get too much details into it, but my husband works for one of the largest nonprofit re-entry organizations in New York City. So, he knows a good amount of people who are as white as me, as Puerto Rican as me, as from New York as me, who are doing life sentences. He knows a lot. And if it's not just people that are doing life sentences, it's people that did a good amount of bids or a very long bid. And you have to factor in, how are those people, how are they being represented? Are they being represented as black? Are they being represented as white? And who's defining that for them? So I thought that this would be interesting to share. The Vera Institute of Justice is very, very good for any type of information regarding the prison population. This is a very reputable source. So if anyone has any curiosities about, Latin people or black people or just anyone, and incarceration rates and whatnot, this is a really good site to go to. So anyway, I'm going to go for now. I hope that this was thorough enough. I did my best. And regardless of everything that's going on with me on here, I'm doing my best. I'm trying. I'm holding on. I got a lot of things coming at me at once. So being a lone wolf is not an easy thing, but I'm doing what I can. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, thanks for watching. Bye.